Welcome to the Female Founder Unplugged podcast, a show for women entrepreneurs who want to build, grow, and lead successful businesses and high-performing teams. I'm your host, Lindsay White, leadership coach and people strategy expert, here to bring you unplugged conversations with a variety of amazing guests who share expert advice and real actionable people strategies for your growing business. Ready to get unplugged? Let's jump in. This season was all about real conversations with unstoppable female founders. And honestly, it just might have been our most powerful season yet. If you've ever doubted yourself, faced a crossroads, or needed to find your next level of leadership, this season was made for you. And today we're pulling back the curtain and celebrating our biggest lessons, the boldest moves, and the most incredible women who inspired us all on the 4th season of the Female Founder Unplugged. Thank you so much for joining me today as we do our season 4 wrap up. Of course, I'm your host, Lindsay White, and I am absolutely thrilled to be doing this final download on this remarkable season of the podcast. It has really challenged me, and I hope it's challenged you to grow as a leader, to build people first teams, and to create those cultures that are real spaces of belonging for people. And I know that we have had some incredible guests, and we're going to get into that in just a few moments. But what I did want to share with you is that this has been such a season for celebration here on the Female Founder Unplugged podcast. First and foremost, we celebrated our 5th year. So for so many people during COVID, they started a sourdough or they took up crochet. I started a podcast. And for me, this has been an absolutely remarkable 5th season with even more in-depth conversations, more wisdom shared, more inspiration. We are at nearly 190 episodes and over 4,000 downloads. And to me, that's just remarkable. As something that really just started as a passion project, this has become a movement. It has become a message. And I am so deeply honored that every week you come and join me here. It has been absolutely astronomical to really produce this and be in conversation with you and with my guests in such a meaningful way. And so what I thought we would do on this wrap-up podcast is really talk about some of the highlights. And I have a few that I want to share. But if there was something about season 4, a guest, a message, a quote, what I'd love for you to do is connect with me and really share that. Send me an email, send me a DM on Instagram, because I want to hear from you. What was it about this season that inspired you? And I'm going to share with you a couple things that really inspired me. So the first one on my list was from Nicole Bonacci, and she was a very recent guest. Her episode was published just a few weeks ago. And Nicole talked to us about small, brave moves and how being braver as a leader in our business and our life can really make a profound difference. And what I love about this message is that I've long said that leadership happens in the little moments, right? It's not about being the biggest and boldest and loudest and being at the front of the room and leading the charge. It's about holding space. It's about being quiet. It's about listening effectively. And it's also about being deeply, deeply courageous. And that's what Nicole and her whole message is all about, and what she and I discussed in our high octane episode. And I will tell you, if you haven't had a chance to listen, you need to go and do that, because Nicole is remarkable. The energy was just crackling with us. She's so powerful in delivering this message. And I think it's something we all need to hear, that we can make these small, brave moves and we can be a more impactful leader in our life and our business right now today. The second episode that I really loved was with my friend, Krista Smith, and she is the founder of Activate Her Awesome. And I love what Krista does. She helps women over 40, and I firmly am in that category, really build confident social media presence. And that's so key for us, because each and every one of us as female entrepreneurs, we have a powerful message to share. We are experts. We are well educated. We have wisdom and knowledge. We have expertise, and we need to share that message because the world needs what we've got. And sometimes that's really hard because it seems very complicated. It seems very overwhelming. I mean, I get that. I live that. But what Krista does is just make it really approachable, really straightforward. She teaches us how to leverage that social media and do that in a way that we can feel really excited about what we're sharing. And there was a quote during Krista's episode I wanted to share with you. She said, "Posted is better than perfect. So get your message out there sooner rather than later. Because when you launch something and then there's this womp, 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 why are people excited? Well, it's because they haven't heard from you enough. And we need to share more often and more intelligently so that we can reach those people who really need our help. They really need the transformation we create. So that was deeply meaningful for me. I also, one of our best episodes, one that so many of you listened to, was the episode that I did about personal values and our leadership style and how we define our own values and the behaviors that make those real to create and really transform our leadership, especially in our small businesses. And you know, if you listen to the show, you know how passionate I am about really enabling female business owners to embrace their leadership style. And for me, it's all about being really authentic, like being who you are, not leading the way someone else does, but leading the way that's meaningful for you. And what's at the heart of all of that is your values. That is absolutely critical to making sure that you are leading in a way that you can feel really deeply connected to and really deeply proud of. And I absolutely love that so many of you wanted to listen to that episode. One of the other episodes that I really loved was my friend Laura Barnes, and she's the founder of This Mother Means Business. And she reminded us to take bigger swings. And I love that. I think I often am guilty of playing really small. And what I need to do is swing for the fences, really lean into it. And her quote here, I think, makes so much difference. It makes it so resonant for me. What you do in the process of going for something massive and huge and way outside your comfort zone, you're going to learn and grow so much in that process. I really love that because that is when we grow, is when we are deeply uncomfortable. And if we don't take that big swing, if we don't really lean into it, if we don't really go for it, we're not really learning, we're not really growing as much as we need to. And of course, we're not sharing our wisdom and our expertise with the world. So, one of our earlier guests shared a message that I really felt very deeply, and her name was Samia Sadiq. And what she talked about is learning the difference between conflict resolution and conflict transformation. I really love that concept of taking those moments where there's conflict and tension and transforming them into something really beautiful. And what Samia said to us was that conflict is where we learn. Conflict is something really interesting. It's a cocktail of hormones and everything else that flows through our body. But the conflict is where we change. And I love that quote because it's so meaningful. We need that productive tension as business leaders, but also in our teams, because that's where the innovation comes from. When we rub our brain cells together, when we have differing perspectives, and when we leverage that to create something new and interesting and more evolved. And so this concept of conflict transformation was so resonant for me this year. I really, really love that. And each and every guest that we had on the season 4 here showed us what it really means to lead with heart and that high voltage energy. And this is why I want to hear from you. What inspired you? What episode did you love? What quote are you taking away? Reach out, send me an email, find me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership, send me a message. I would love to know. Okay, one of the other things I want to share with you is the 5 lessons that I think really stuck with me, and I hope they will stick with you too. And I think these are things we can carry with us forever. So I want to do this countdown with you. So starting with number 5, this was such a huge lesson. Trust your gut, even when it's a little shaky. And I really believe that, particularly as women, we have such intrinsic value that comes from our intuition, comes from our gut. And we're trained out of listening to it. And I will tell you that every major mistake I've ever made in my life and in my business is when I have not listened to my intuition. And so I hope for all of you that you really tune in to that gut moment, that gut check, because even with the best strategy, with the best planning, there's got to be a gut check at the end. Like that to me is absolutely critical. It's something I talk about with my clients all the time, super critical for me. So that was a huge lesson. Okay, lesson number 4. You can scale without losing yourself or losing your culture. So I work with business owners all the time that are in that scale up space. They are really starting to build their team. And that is a big fear that not only are you going to lose yourself and get disconnected from the work you love, right? And for many of us, that's deeply personal. We've spent a lifetime becoming experts, but also that we would lose the culture, that we would lose the closeness and the connection. It doesn't have to be that way. You can scale without losing that. You can scale without being swallowed up by your own business. And we heard this over and over again from business owners who are really clearly invested in creating great places to work, but also being sure that they are delivering great work themselves and they're continually growing and learning. And that's how we scale without losing ourselves. All right. Lesson number 3, leadership isn't about doing it all. It's actually about lifting others higher. And I say this to my clients all the time, but this season really reinforced this for me. Our first job as a leader is to create other leaders, right? And it's not about doing everything. In fact, it's about empowering others to learn and grow so that they can lead. And when we do that, we just create all these leaders in our business. So even if we have someone that we just engage for specific task or project, we need to enable them to be a great leader in that space. And in doing that, we unleash their capabilities and ours. All right, number 2 lesson for me, a high voltage team changes everything. When we have people that are plugged in and turned on and lit up, those people drive business success. It is the people in our organizations that create all the value. We can have the best strategy, the best plans, the best marketing. But the truth is, if we don't have the right people on the bus isn't going to go very far and it's not going to go very fast. And so when we have a high voltage team, a people that are absolutely tuned in, they are on side, their values aligned, they get the vision, they are on the mission. That's a game changer. That is transformational especially in our small businesses, but in big business too. But when everybody counts in your small business, having that high voltage team is a game changer. And the number one most powerful transformation for me, the lesson I learned, and I hope that you take away as well, is that the most powerful transformation is the one that you lead within yourself. Leadership is an inside job. And in order to have a really high performing team and a beautiful culture, it starts from within. It starts in your heart. And so when we lead authentically, when we lead with our passion, when we lead with vulnerability, we actually create the space for performance, right? And so that's the transformation that has to come first. It's ours, especially as a business leader. But I would tell you also in the other roles we play, right? Because we're mothers, we're sisters, we're besties, we're aunties, we're in our community, we're on boards, we're coaches, right? We volunteer. We have to lead first, and we have to lead in all of those spaces, and we have to be confident in that leadership. So I hope that for you, these are big, powerful lessons that will stick with you. And I know that they are going to really stick with me. They certainly showed up in really powerful ways for me this year. All right. It's so important for me to say this, but I want to thank you for showing up every week, for being brave enough to want more, and for trusting me to be a part of that journey. You are why this podcast exists. I love sharing this message with you, and I get such incredible joy out of being in this conversation with you. And of course, including some incredible guests, women who have walked the journey that we are walking. They have been a part of this. They are so vulnerable with us. They share their struggles. And of course, I also really love hearing from you. And I love your comments. I get them by email. I get them in my DMs. And I hear about how these lessons have been impactful for you, how they've opened your eyes, how they've given you some aha moments. And I absolutely love that feedback because it is so crucial that we share and learn and grow. We're not gatekeeping here, right? Everything that I know, I share with you. Everything that my guests know, they come on the show and they share with you. And I cannot thank you enough for being a part of that conversation. So What's next? What is coming up in the Female Founder Unplugged podcast? Well, you are going to want to stay tuned because we are going big with leadership. We are going to talk about people's strategy and all the pieces that are inside of that. We're going to talk about scaling with soul and with heart. And we're going to talk about owning your CEO seat completely and fully. We are going to really invest time in talking about some of the most impactful pieces that you feel in your business. Things like how to deal with those difficult conversations that you have to have, how to talk about what is happening for you as part of your, vulnerable leadership. We're going to talk about technical things like how do we design programs that help people perform and pay them for that. We're going to talk about all sorts of incredible things related to leadership, people strategy, and of course, culture on the upcoming season. So stay tuned. You absolutely do not want to miss what is coming up next. All right, it's time for me to wrap up. But what I'd love to encourage you to do is to share your favorite episode, share it on Instagram and tag me, send me a DM. What have your aha moments been from season 4? What were your lessons? And of course, I would love for you to share this podcast with any of your female founder friends. Let's spread the message. There is so much value in listening to these episodes, listening to these conversations, and really investing in ourselves as leaders, as business owners, as women. And of course, if you haven't left a review yet, I would ask you to do that. Please go to the platform you love to listen to the podcast on, leave an authentic review for us, leave a comment. We really love that. That is so helpful in promoting the show and getting these voices heard. Well, season 4 is over, but your next level is just getting started. And I'll be right here cheering you on every step of the way. And I cannot wait to have you back for our next season. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Female Founder Unplugged podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did hosting this conversation. I feel so lucky that I get to connect with such amazing female entrepreneurs. And if you enjoyed today's session, would you do me a big favor? Would you hit subscribe and give this episode a 5-star review? I'd also love it if you would share with your friends. We've got a goal here at the Female Founder Unplugged podcast to impact 1,000 female founders. And with your help, we can really amplify the message. Thanks again for being a part of the show. And don't forget to connect with me at highvoltageleadership.ca. We'll see you next week.